Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining. Well, you guys can, if you do want to text in any comments, you can also do that with the same phone number. But before I open the phone lines up, I did want to share some thoughts I had, because the whole reason I did this show was because me and my son were in the car and talking, and I said, I just kind of made the comment, well, maybe in a perfect world. I can't even really remember what we were talking about, but we got on the subject of what we see a perfect world as. Our idea of a perfect world. And he said something, as many times children do, he said something very profound that really, it really sort of expanded my thinking. And he said, well, if we lived in the perfect world, it really wouldn't be perfect, would it? Wow. So it really got me thinking. The perfect world. What is it, my idea of a perfect world? Now, I shared this story the other day that, I was playing a game with my kids, and they were teaming up on me, and they were just stomping me, just beating me real easily, and I didn't have a chance. And, for them, it was getting old, and for me, it was getting old, not having a chance at winning. But it wasn't very fun not having a challenge for them, and so I made the suggestion to sort of change up the rules a little bit to make it to where it was more balanced, because it would be more fun for everyone. For me, it would be fun because I would have a chance at actually winning, and for them, it would be fun because they would have the challenge of actually trying to win instead of it being real easy for them. So that really got me thinking, what would the perfect world be like? I mean, I think right now a lot of people feel like I felt the other day, like they just aren't even given an opportunity to actually win, just from a 3D perspective. It's like you got the big bullies running everything. Any hope of changing anything just seems hopeless at times. But do we really want everything to be absolutely perfect? Would it be perfect if it was absolutely perfect? So that got me thinking, you know what? I'd like to see what everyone else thinks about this. Because I do view a perfect world as a more loving place where everyone takes care of everyone. But I don't know how easy I want it, Is it, I don't know. I just kind of thought we could move through the callers a little quicker tonight, and we have, people just sort of share their thought on it. And, yes, your text did work, if you'd like to resend a comment. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to get your input on what the perfect world might look like. So I'm opening up the phone lines. 781-474-2632. Hi, Andrea from Maryland. And April Lunsford and Raw Sunlight, Robin. Not So Fancy Nancy, Ronnie in Florida. Thank you guys all for being here. Emma and By Design, Susan, Go Kart Bob, Randy, Debbie Hazelton, what is up? Anya, Candy, Paul, Stephen, Brigham, and let's see what else we have here. I said Stephen. Okay. Did I say Emma? Emma, welcome from Australia. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. Let me open up Facebook for you guys too, just in case we have some international callers. That will definitely be a little bit cheaper. This is Shane, you're live. Your name and where you're calling from? Your name and where you're calling from?
Veronica, Ronnie from Florida.
Oh, how you doing, Ronnie?
I'm great. Man, it's been a good week. Last week was bad energy, but this week has been nice.
Yeah, I've been on a little bit of a roller coaster myself, and definitely some ups and downs. But yeah, I'm riding the waves, as they say.
Yeah, what else can you do? Drown. I'm not drowning anymore. I drowned long enough. I got too much water in my lungs now. I just need to take a break and float on the waves.
I heard that. So what is your idea? Yeah.
I really want people to not have to go to work. I want them to go to work because they love it, to have the choice. Because I see so many people in my life where they're like, oh, I got to go to work. I hate it. I don't want to be there. It's sucking the life out of me. I want them to all be able to do what they love to do, what makes them happy. Do you want to breed dogs? Do you want to do art? Do you want to make music? Just whatever brings them joy, even if they change every 3 years, and, well, I'm tired of that. I want to try something new. I want people to have the freedom to do that, to explore themselves and explore working with different media and ideas. I just think that would be the most joyful use of a life.
Yes, I definitely agree. Yeah, so many people. And you know what? A lot of people would enjoy their job if they didn't feel like they had to go. You know what I mean? It's something about having to go that makes it suck a little bit.
Yeah, that does. It becomes like a prison.
Yeah.
But it's also the regiment of formal business. I know my son, when he started his job, it was a very small company. They were very, very loose with flex hours. As long as you put in the hours, they didn't care when you did it. So that suited him. He's really a night owl. And, so he'll stay up all night but sleep all day till 2, like a teenager still. He's in his 30s now. So now they're growing, and they have corporate clients, and he's been on loan to a corporate client, and they were okay with the flex hours for a long time, but now they're tightening up too. So it's making him really unhappy to have to fit the regimented hourly wage earning grind.
Yeah.
So it's when you have the freedom, that's some of the greatest people. I think like Leonardo da Vinci was one where he hardly slept.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and then when he did sleep, he would sleep for days or something. So, when you aren't required to fit a schedule and you can do what your body needs and what your body wants, I think that just brings you a more relaxed state of being to start.
I agree, and just reduced work hours would help tremendously because many people are just worked to death. They don't have time for any leisure, and it just gets old, the grind.
Oh yeah. I worked one job. We did the first year that I worked there. I made like half of my pay in back again in overtime. So we worked 60 hours a week. And I was on third shift, which was horrible for me. 3 o'clock in the morning, I get completely sick to my stomach. I have no idea what that's about, but 3 o'clock in the morning, I should not be awake.
I've been like that before. I think it's stuff that, like maybe just the melatonin or something that gets released in your brain because it knows it's time to go to sleep and it makes you nauseous. I've been like that before.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but it was like clockwork. It was like, oh, I feel sick. It must be 3. I'd look at the clock. Sure enough, there it was. But yeah, I don't remember that year. My son was playing soccer. I was going to his soccer games, and I would sleep until like 1, run, pick him up from the bus stop, drop him off at home with my dad, and run to work. I'd work all night, and then on the weekend I would have 1 day off, and I would spend it with my son. And I don't remember anything that happened that year.
Yeah, I work 2 jobs, and it's the same way. And that's one of the things that sort of woke me up too, because I would sort of come out of it long enough to realize that my daughter, it was my second daughter at the time, I could visually see that she had grown, and I was missing things like her first steps and things like that. And I'm like, this is just not the way to live. You know what I mean? Just get to the point where you can be content with what you have, and then have your time with your family. And that was a huge learning process for me.
It's huge. I remember I was watching some documentary, and it was on a tribe in South America that had not been introduced to any culture outside of their own. They were still really isolated, and they followed them around. These people, they got up in the morning, and they would go do chores, whatever needed to be done, they would do them. And then it would start, like 10 o'clock, it would start getting really hot. So they would grab the kids, and they'd all go down to the river and play in the water and sit on the beach and, relax until about 5 o'clock in the evening when it started to cool off again. And then they'd do, cook dinner, do chores, hunt or whatever. And that was their life. And it was so horrible that we had to introduce them to Western civilization so they could go to work and, want clothes.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree.
It was a riot. I was like, yeah, that's what we gave up. That was pretty idyllic,
Yeah, I have a feeling that work is going to be a big part of everyone's perfect world, that there's some changes as far as work is concerned. Because I do what I do, and I love what I do, and it's not like work, although it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it so much, it's no big deal. And someone was just saying that in the comments, that when you love what you do, it's not work. But most of the time people are, maybe they had a poor career choice, and now they have to pay back student loans, and it's not what they thought it was going to be, and it's sort of, they're locked in because they have to pay these bills, and, so they get stuck.
Yeah, it never is what you think it's going to be. Yeah. That's, I remember when I was getting my career, in high school, they gave us a test. Well, where do you fit? What are you going to do? Should you go to college? Should you go to a trade school? And it was a very good test, and it actually, it was very true to the path that I took and still enjoy, where I'm divided between like psychology and nature. Right. So I always thought my ideal state would be being a psychologist or some kind of counselor out in a garden somewhere, just a beautiful garden, and having my clients come to me out in this garden. I thought that would be the perfect world for me. But I looked into forestry, and I was really excited about it because I was thinking it was like a park ranger, and it wasn't. It was like how to cut down trees, which trees to cut down, how to cut down great big swaths of them. I was like, that's not what I want at all. So, if I hadn't really investigated it, because they made us investigate it, I would have gone to forestry school, been in debt, and horribly miserable, So, in a way, school has done well with that, with trying to get kids to focus, because it's really hard. When you have the whole world open to you, it's like, gosh, what do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I always tell people, or even my kids, I'm like, think of what you would do for free and then make a career out of that,
Yes.
That's
what
really a good way
enjoy?
to go about. Yeah, because like my kids like to draw and things like that. It's Ronnie in Florida, you guys. Sorry, I forgot to put the name on the screen. But yeah,
hello, everybody. Love to you all. Mwah, mwah,
mwah. But you know what? Even like I wanted to do art really bad, so I went to school for art, and I figured it's all going to be great, illustrating children's books and making product covers and all of that. It was fun, but there was times when I had to do schematics or product just papers, where you're showing like diagrams of stuff that weren't very fun to do. And it's like every job seems like it's got its part that's not so fun, but at least it breaks up the monotony going from a book to a cover or to something else that's completely different.
Yeah, I like that. I need variety. I hate doing the same grind every single day.
Yeah, I had a factory job like that, and I got a lot of songs written at that time because your mind can wander. Like I ran a saw, so the saw was running. And it was sort of a, it just got me into this meditative state. And then while it was running, I could jot down a few lyrics while I'm just waiting for, the stuff it was a still plant. So I wait for the still to cut, and then I write down a few lines of a song, and then, move the new bundle in and start cutting it, and then write some more. So I wrote probably, a good 100 to 200 songs during that time. 5 years I was working there.
Well, that's a really great way to, pull your creativity out. Boredom is really, it kind of does that. You start inventing things to make your life not suck.
Yeah, exactly. And painting was the same way. You don't really have to think much once you know how to paint. So I'd be painting houses and either listening to the Bible on CD all day long or just thinking about stuff. So it was really fun. You can always make fun out of whatever you're doing if you try hard enough.
Yes, absolutely. So what is yours? You didn't actually say what you think your perfect world would be.
I don't know. That's a good point, because that's why I wanted to see what other people thought, because I'm sort of, I've reached a point where I don't think I want it absolutely perfect, but I definitely want it fair. You know what I mean? I don't want people suffering and starving, and I think, there's basic needs that need to be met, but, I don't know that I would want a completely challengeless life either. I don't know. It's hard to imagine, because my son was like, what about food? He goes, a perfect world would be eating donuts. I'm like, well, those are really unhealthy unless they're like green bean donuts. And his face is like, that wouldn't be a perfect world at all, And I'm like, well, if we're eating sunlight, so it really got me thinking about all these questions. I'm like, what would the perfect world look like, So.
Well, when do you feel the most bliss? Really? I mean, when you meditate and you get into that really blissed out state, when you're not meditating, what has given you the most bliss?
I would say doing art and music, and I love doing this. This is sort of right along that same, creating videos and meeting people and bringing people together. It's so fulfilling. So I don't know. It's definitely, it would be in the arts, but I kind of picture this in the arts as well, painting a picture.
Yeah, but we could still do that, Think about all the people who would love to do art and, that they just don't get the chance. The materials are expensive. So you're still going to have to invent ways to use natural materials, because we're not going to be able to, go to, the hobby store and buy our oil paints or our chalks and stuff. So, you can still explore.
Yeah.
I think that it would be beautiful to not have so much stress.
Yeah, I think one of the key points that could really take us there is being able to manifest anything we want, and whether it's food or painting supplies or a healing, that would be perfect. So it's not that you never get injured. You might fall and hurt yourself, but then you can heal yourself, and so I think something along those lines maybe, but I still don't know. That's why I want to get other people's take on the whole thing.
Well, we got to have somebody else call in then. Let's get some more opinions going here.
Well, I appreciate you calling in.
All right. You have a good night. I'll be in the chat.
Okay.
Bye,
thanks,
everyone.
Ronnie. Bye-bye. All right. I got a text here before I take another call. Okay. It's Andrea from Maryland. My daughter and I were talking about this. She is 10. We were shopping, and as we drove past all the stores, she said, "Mom, there should be trees where the stores are at. I wish nature was all around us, because that is where I feel at home." I asked her what the best thing about a new world would be, and she said, "No such thing as money. Everything you need to live a good life would be provided by Earth." Thank you, Andrea, I totally agree with that. Very much so. And let me get back to the chat because I wanted to scroll up. Oh, yeah, Debbie Hazelton had said, Shane, I think there's kind of a paradox that we are and everything is already perfect. Maybe we need to drop an old definition of perfection, find a new word. Very insightful. Shiny Robert says, I saw a perfect world when I smoked DMT. Was the best feeling ever. So beautiful. Saw people not having to work. Zero anxiety or fear. Just simply living and doing whatever you love. I like that too. Beautiful. Okay, opening up the phone lines here. Oh, that's incoming messages. So yeah, I don't know. I remember in church, it was like, we get to go to heaven and, there's the streets of gold and we just get to, bow at the throne of God and throw our crowns to him. And just to be completely 100% honest, I was like, forever? Like, I don't, that sounds cool when we first get there for maybe a year or two, but I don't know. It just didn't quite sound like heaven to me, the way people would explain it to me. And, I'm all for, at the time I was really all for the whole thing, but it's like, do you guys know how long eternity is here? You really want to do that forever? So, hope I don't make anybody angry. I think anybody who's completely honest will agree that that just doesn't sound like the best way to spend an eternity. So, yeah. Susan says, then we shake the joy of us all doing what we love. I'm horrible about, share, thanks. Someone said something the other day and I was like, I should have realized what the typo was, but I'm not very good at word games. My mind always tries to make it more complicated than it is. But thank you, Susan. No government, no IRS. Yeah, I agree. But I just imagine in a world where everything can be, manifested. You can manifest a bowl of fruit to eat. It's non-GMO, completely organic. And, it's food would be handled, water would be handled. We wouldn't have, we could have free energy. I guess I can get your name off the screen. Sorry, Ronnie. Let's see. And even like living forever. I guess if we can be at our optimal age and health, that wouldn't be so bad. But at a certain age, I think I want to check in for a new physical vessel, as they say. Oh, and Metal Rabbit made a good point, too, if I can find it. Can't stand 3D. It was quite a while ago, probably. I'm sorry, Metal Rabbit. I remember reading it during the call, and I'm going off planet to work on a project with others. Sounds fun. Oh, yeah. Teach restorative justice and end of military. I would definitely say a perfect world would not need a military. 100%. I mean, that's a given, I think. Why would we need a military when, you know, everybody loves each other? Everybody takes care of each other. Thank you, Sherry. And I do want to take this time to thank I should have had that pulled up. My new patrons. I did get my Patreon account set up, and right away I got like 5 patrons. And I'm so thankful for that. Also, I wanted to thank Pam and Daryl and Connie for the PayPal contribution that's helped. I've already started on a new website. It's sort of going to be a central hub for everything. And yeah, I've heard Facebook is really going downhill now as far as, they're not making the money, and I think they might be going the way of MySpace perhaps. And I wouldn't doubt if YouTube, even though YouTube's up right now, I wouldn't doubt if the censorship and stuff that's going on doesn't, hurt them tremendously. So I think having a separate independent website where I can, people can find me there if something does happen. And you can also go there, and I'm going to have it to where you can, I'll have a schedule on there. And so if you want to see when upcoming shows are coming, you'll be able to do that. So already doing all of that. And I'm going to be, Michelle's Opinions told me about, I don't know if she's in the chat right now. She told me about a new phone service. So I'll be able to, I think, have up to like 5 people waiting. So I'll know if I have another call waiting, and I can move to the next caller pretty quick. Because right now, like now, it's just, I have one line, and it's not ringing. I could have actually talked to Ronnie from Florida a little bit longer. But there's no way to know, So if I have actually a call queue, then I can say, oh, we got 3 people waiting to call. Let me move on to the next person. And it'll give more people the opportunity to talk, and I think it'll be a good thing. Plus, they'll be able to hear while they're waiting over the phone. They can listen. And they'll get the benefit of hearing everything like 20 seconds earlier. Yes, I did move to MeWe. Sherry, can you explain how to work Patreon at some time? Like, go to this, hit this. Okay, so the way Patreon works, like PayPal, for instance, you can just go to PayPal, provide support through, it's secure. It's a separate entity, so you know that your information's secure. It's not like I would get your credit card information or anything. So it's like a one-time thing. With Patreon, you can find contributors, content creators that you want to support, like $1 a month or $5 a month or something like that, and they will just automatically bill you every month. So you can find my page on there if you wanted to contribute and say, you know what, I'll give him $5 a month for what he does or whatever, and they will just automatically handle that. And a lot of people also use it for exclusive content, like the people who donate on there. Let's see, we got the phone call coming in here. This is Shane. Who am I speaking with? Hi, Susan from Jones.
The number wasn't on the screen, just for you to know. It wasn't showing, but it is below, so I found it again.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to stick it back up there again. It's hard to do all this one-man show thing going on here. But yeah, it is. If I forget to stick it up there, you guys, it's at the top of the description window. So even the people some people don't know how to hit the down button on their description thing, because it is, it's kind of hard to find if you're not new to all of this and you're on a phone. But it should be high enough that you can find the phone number at the top of the description.
I'm always using my phone, so I can't see half the things I'm typing, or, my eyes just get really tired. But
oh, yeah.
I'm at my mom's now. I've moved to her, well, I'm moving. I'm in the process of moving to her home right now. And I'll have access to her computer. I'll start using that more when you're doing the live shows.
Right, right. And you are from Jones, Oklahoma, or what is it called again?
Yeah, on 66. when we came to Tulsa, it was pretty quick on the turnpike. I was surprised. We got there pretty quick.
Oh, okay. So let's see. Susan from Jones.
And
I'll just put Oklahoma.
You what?
I'll put Oklahoma. I'm sure there's Jones all over the country. So.
There are.
Oh, thank you, Ronnie. You're awesome. Let me see. I wanted to put your name up here, so let's see. That's the phone number. Okay, here we go. All right. So, what is your ideal perfect world? Do you have an idea?
Well, it's not boring. We won't get bored. And I threw that up on comments a couple of times. Space travel, exploration, galaxies, creating things. And that's, of course, and the transition's going to be exciting, too, even though this is so hard right now. This month has been crazy for me. And I know the angst is just so high, but it's our learning time still, to be able to move through these things and know that we are breaking through. And so I don't know. I want to enjoy the ride. That's it. I want to enjoy the ride, but all the aspects of it, because it all has value. But I'm sure looking forward to a big, deep sigh and some rest from, wondering what's next. It'll be so good not to feel like we have to worry about our food that we eat and those things. But, in all the conversation about foods and things, still keeps having to go back to our faith and our ability to purify, to manifest. And, not that we throw our hands up and we don't take care of ourselves. Are we still connected? It is so quiet.
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. But everything everyone was saying was great. I think... And
I like that too, because that's something we don't think about, and is when there's a perfect world, is the fact that we have our cosmic brothers and sisters, and wouldn't we like a ride? I remember being a little kid, and my brother got a hot rod Mustang, and he came over. I just couldn't wait for a ride in it, and how cool would it be for our cosmic brothers and sisters to come and say, "Want to ride in my ship?" That would be pretty awesome.
Yes, and then the animals that, probably will fly and we can ride on, like Avatar in the movie, those things will be very fun.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to flying a lot. I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, a very natural way of flying. Yeah, I've always wanted to be able to fly myself, but even the way they did it on Avatar would be really fun.
Yeah, because the interaction with nature and animals is part of the things that bring us joy. And even though we can probably fly ourselves, that's all going to be fun. But, I was going to tell you, as far as the concert goes, just a side note, that I like that band so much better in their element. I've never been to Kane's Ballroom, but it was a bar, and I'm so over it. It's not the same. I probably wouldn't have even bothered to go, except that the really fun part, though, was Carrie had a great time, and my daughter was there, and Ronnie, her boyfriend, and another couple that I've actually lost. I worked for her for a while doing work in the coal sports.
Yeah, I've been by Kane's Ballroom downtown, but I've never been in it. In fact, back a few years back when I was driving Uber, I picked people up from there and took them home or whatever, but never been in the place. But I can imagine it's sort of an old downtown building, and you said it's more like a nightclub or something?
I'm glad I saw it. It was it's an echo chamber. It was so loud, but there was another mother. I'm 60, she's 60, and she was there with her son, and I thought that's really cool. The just the barriers that music breaks,
right?
And there was such a variety of.
And for our listeners, what was the name of the band again?
It was Knocko Bear Medicine for the People.
Right.
The one that sent you the video, and then let's see, Nathan had a couple of songs from that band.
Okay, very tribal sounding music. I remember really liking it.
Yeah, it's the same one they used. He featured Paris Jackson and a video called Dragonfly, and they did sing that. And Schreiber and I were, I mean, that one really moved me. That was so beautiful. And we got some videos. I'll post some videos. I didn't get very good ones, really, because my camera didn't have very much memory. But, oh, and that's another thing in the perfect world, just to have music around, you know, just access to all the music, all the art that y'all were describing.
What was the song called again? The one with the video you sent me?
Dragonfly. Oh, that one's Aloha Keakua.
Aloha. Okay, I see it here. I wanted to paste that into the chat just so, because the visuals on it were awesome. Even if you didn't like the music, which I can't imagine anybody wouldn't, at least in this crowd. But
well,
the
this
visuals
group has a mission. They were in North Dakota, and they really are message orientated. And I find that the synchronicities I've had with this band have been off the charts for me. But it's also, you know, I have a lot of connections to them. But anyway, they're giving. They've lived off the land. They started their band kind of formed when they were in Hawaii, and they were, you know, growing food and they were living close to the earth. Several people went in and purchased land, and they just started kind of working it and living off of it and doing their music. And then they grew into a movement. You know, they started as a movement, but it was small and it grew. So it is very, very mission-oriented band. And when people, you know, gather I've gone to the outdoor concert and one indoor at Kane. And it was just a whole different environment. Like I said, it wasn't like they were really in their element, but it was still, they brought it. It was great.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine outdoors would be really nice.
Oh, yeah. They would kind of visit the campsites of the people camping after the concert and just, you know, drive with them. Anyway.
Right.
Cool.
Well,
But
awesome.
anyway, I won't keep you on the phone. It was nice to touch base again. And
All righty. I appreciate
hello,
you calling in.
everybody. Oh, I got to see I got on Joe's Day and Eileen, if I mean right, hanging out before your show earlier. That was really nice.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Eileen's in the chat, I see.
Yay. Well, hello, everyone, and love and light to everyone.
Awesome. We'll talk to you later, Susan. Lots of love and light to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So yeah, I pasted that link in there, or if you're watching this later and you just want to look it up yourself. Nako Bear, Medicine for the People, Aloha Keakua, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's probably in the neighborhood at least. So yeah. Let's see, let me open up the phone lines here and put the number on the screen. Make sure I'm not missing any text. Make sure. That looks like a spam account. It's so hard to tell with Facebook, you know. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, definitely it would be so cool to be able to go on. Thank you, Ronnie. So cool to go on the space ride using some super fast technology where you can be to Mars and Jupiter, and think how breathtaking that would be, you know? I'm from the Midwest, so whenever we went on a trip and we got to the ocean, like in Savannah, or actually it'd be Tybee Island, or down in the Gulf. Make sure I'm not missing something here. And you would get to the water. It was literally breathtaking. I didn't know what that term even meant until it actually happened to me. You really feel like your breath's being taken away seeing that much water. You know, it's just amazing. And just imagine flying by Saturn. You're like looking out the window at it in all of its glory. Flying by Jupiter. Flying by these other planets. Even the moon. Wouldn't that be awesome just to... Man, that would be so awesome. So yeah, back to the Patreon explanation. I think it's one of those things where you can just set it up once and you're good to go. And you can just cancel anytime you want. And like I was saying earlier, some people have it where there's exclusive content. I don't want it to be like you have to have money to, to get all the information. I know some people do that, but and that's their thing or whatever. But I don't. Most of us are broke, and I know that, so I don't want it like you can't get all the information unless you. That's the sort of the problem I see with the world, actually. And the phone is ringing. Oh, here it is. Hello, this is Shane. You're on the air.
Hey, it's Ronnie. I'm calling back because somebody else is craving on the phone. All right, if you're going to be bored and you decide that you want to go on a spaceship, would you still be bored?
I would not be bored if I could go on a spaceship.
That's all you have to do. All is,
Right, that's very true. Yeah, because typically, you need that danger a lot of times in life. Like, a lot of the fun of skydiving and things like that is the fact that things could go wrong. So it's really, you get the adrenaline flowing, But, well, I'm just saying, it's just a part of it that, a roller coaster, it's just, I don't know. Oh, that'd be awesome. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, the flying dreams are awesome. And I've even had some of those recently that I hadn't had since I was a kid. And it was like we were training to fly again in these swimming pools. So we were learning to lift ourselves up in the pool. And that's how we were training. We were training in the pool, and then we were supposed to lift ourselves up and then out of the water because you get heavier as you get out of the water. But if you, like Peter, I think it was in the Bible, that began to doubt and began to sink or whatever, if that happened while you're practicing flying, you would just fall back down into the pool and not get hurt. So it was an interesting dream. Yeah.
And then I had one where I was teaching my son how to fly, and that was cool. And then the last one I had was really interesting. I started flying, and I was like up in the sky so high you couldn't even see any ground. It was just all sky and clouds. And I started to get scared that I was going to fall, and I started lucid dreaming. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm dreaming. It's okay. I'm not going to fall. I can't get hurt. And a voice said to me, you're not dreaming. And I woke up. I was like, oh, my God, that was freaky. Who was that? I wasn't dreaming. So that freaked me out because I've heard that voice before. When I had a dream about my son before I had him. I guess a lot of pregnant women do. They dream about their child before they have him. Mm-hmm. But it was so real. There was this little baby sitting on a cloud, just, sitting there being baby. And somebody said to me, he looks just like you. And I said, no, he has his father's eyes. And it was such a weird dream because this kid had blue eyes. And the guy that I had a total crush on at the time was a brown-eyed guy. And so I woke up and I wrote this all in a letter to my sister. And I was in the military and I never had any stamps. So I put it in a drawer and forgot to mail it. Well, years later, I found that letter and read it. My son, who I had, the first thing that they would say when they would see him was, oh, he looks just like you. And I would always say, no, he has his father's eyes. He had blue eyes like his dad, or he still has blue eyes like his dad. But he did look like me in the face, but his eyes, the shape of his eyes was his father's eyes, which was what I was looking at, was not the color, but the shape of his eyes was different from mine.
Yeah.
So, And that was exactly what was in the dreams. And so when I found that letter and saw that what I had been saying for 3 years was what I had written in this letter 3 years ago and totally forgotten about, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, crazy, crazy. So that was the voice. It was the same voice that spoke to me. And then I heard it one other time when I was in the library. I went with my mom and my son, and this was, I was usually really, really careful with him. Like I wouldn't let him go into the bathroom. He went into the women's bathroom for a ridiculously long time because I was a single parent. I didn't have Dad to help. And so I actually let him go to the children's section, and I was in a hallway that was between the adult section and the children's section where they had the new books. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at a book, and I heard somebody say, Veronica. And I looked up, and I looked both ways, and there was nobody there. So I started looking at the book again. And Veronica, I was like, what the heck? And I looked around, there's nobody there, and there was an office next to me. So I went over to the office, and I was like, hello, hello? There was nobody in the office. So I go back to the book, and I'm like, okay, I'm losing my mind. And I'm reading the book again, and I hear the voice more insistent, Veronica. So now I go walk out of the hallway, and I look around the front, and I'm like, yeah, what? There's nobody there. I go to the other end, and there's no one there. And I was like, okay, I just got to go find my son. And I just kept walking into the children's section to find him. And I always wondered what would have happened if I didn't go, if that voice hadn't prompted me, if somebody was about to kidnap him. That just scared the crap out of me. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a show, I think it was on TBN years ago, and it was these stories about angels alerting people, and one of them was like that. This lady sort of passed by her kid's bedroom, and then her son had fallen asleep with a lamp, and it was laying against the sheets, and she saw it or whatever, and she moved it, and she kept hearing this urging or whatever about going back and checking on the kids. And I guess there was bunk beds or something. I might be mixing the story up, but the other kid had fallen asleep with 2 suckers in his mouth, one in each cheek. So she had that voice, and she thought it was the lamp, or it might have been the other way around. It might have been the suckers and then the lamp, but yeah, two of her kids were doing something extremely dangerous. So.
Wow. Yeah.
I love those stories.
I would love to say everybody gets that little still voice, but it wasn't. It was like somebody was talking to me physically. It was so loud. It was wild.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that just lets you know that there's something going on. And sometimes they'll step in if it's super important, you know what I mean? But you can never definitively say, oh, well, it was an angel, It's just, it might appear to be another person, or it could just be a really strong voice or urge that you have to go a different way home, or to do something a little bit different, or to check on someone. So, yeah. You don't want to ignore those intuitive nudgings.
Every time I've ignored my intuition, something bad happened. I mean, even if it was just a little thing, it could turn out to be a really big thing. Like once at work, I worked up, it was on a rocket, and the scaffolding, that what you walked on was like open. It had holes in it.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever you went out onto the floor, you were supposed to put tethers on everything. So if you dropped something, it wouldn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, I was walking to the station where the tether was, and something in me was saying, do something with that little 6-inch ruler, do something with it. And I was just like, I'm going to do something with it. I was planning on going right to the station and putting tape and a tether on it. So as I was walking, I dropped my badge, and I bent to pick it up, and the little ruler fell out, went down a hole, fell down, and hit the side of the rocket 2 floors below me. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Seriously? So, of course, I had to go and tell them my ruler fell. We got to get a lift to find it, and we've got to make sure this little, half-ounce ruler didn't do any damage to the rocket. So it was a really huge thing that it turned into. But, if I had listened to that voice from the start, I would have done something else with the ruler, and it wouldn't have fallen. So, yeah.
That's one of the things that I tell people often, is that your intuition, I only can recall times that I had a gut feeling about something and I didn't listen to it, that I regretted it. I can't think of any times that I regretted listening to my gut, though. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
when you
true.
really think about that, it's like you need to listen to that feeling inside, your intuition. You need to really listen to it because, like I said, it's one-sided. I never regret doing what I feel. You know, I mean, there might be times when I thought, I might have been overreacting, and I didn't see what would have happened if I didn't follow it. That's a
Yeah.
possibility, but I never regret following it.
Yeah. Well, that's, one day somebody cut me off and I was mad, and, because I was always in a hurry. I was always running late because we worked so many hours. And, so I was like, oh, man. And then, of course, they get in front of you and then they go really slow. It's like, and there was nobody behind me. They could have waited 5 seconds and nobody would have, they would have been fine. But no, this person is in front of me and there was an accident up the road. And I was like, when did that happen? If I had been, that faster, would that have been me in that accident? So yeah, it's like you just never know why things happen. So when bad things happen that annoy me, I always try and think, okay, something could have happened. This could have just saved my life, even though it annoyed the crap out of me.
That's so funny that you said that, because my wife called me one day, and typically when she's like, hey, I'm ready or whatever, I'll just leave right away because it's like a 15-minute drive. I don't want to waste any time. So I was in the middle of an email and I just had this feeling, just finish the email and then send it. And on the way there, we just missed an accident. There was no emergency vehicles there yet. So I know I was just behind. And then I got to thinking, oh my God, if I hadn't finished that email, I might have been involved with that, because it took a couple of minutes, I wrapped it up pretty quick, but 2 minutes on the highway would have been, a mile or two ahead of where I was. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really, you really just don't know. So always try and think the best of it. I had to train myself to do that. I had a very negative perspective. I was very reactive for a long time, because it was, I was just like in a hurry, and anything that slowed me down on my mission, was horrible. So I was so overreactive to stuff. And one day I was just like, it was a road rage guy. Scared the crap out of me. I was in a hurry, so there was a merge spot on this highway, and I knew it was coming, and it's a really bad design. So whenever I get onto that road, I always move all the way to the left. And so I did, and the guy in front of me did too. And it turned out that the guy in front of him was going really slow. So when we got past the merge spot, I took off into the left lane. I signaled and moved over to the left and went. And I guess it made that truck mad because he wanted to go before me. So he started chasing me. I was going 100 miles an hour trying to get away from this crazy person. I was terrified. I thought he was like right on my bumper and, like following me. I would get into traffic and he would squeeze in right behind me, and I would pull out and move and he would follow me. And so I was like, oh my God. And that made me really stop and look at my own behavior and say, I understand that I made him mad. He wanted to go too, but it didn't justify what he did. So, how do I know that when somebody, is making me angry, I don't know what they're thinking or what they're doing. They could be in a terrible hurry, Maybe somebody in their family just got called to the hospital. They're going to the hospital to take care of somebody. You don't know.
Right.
So
pregnant wife in the back seat or something, and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So why react with hostility? So it made me start calming down and trying to slow myself down a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, I've had to deal with the same things myself, to be honest with you. So.
Well, I think that's part of our stressors, though. Everybody in this world, or in Western culture anyway, we're being just pushed to the edge. Look at all the road rage people there are. Why? And a lot of it comes to control. We have no control over anything in our lives, so people freak out. And I think that when they feel they're in their car, this is like their little domain, and they feel like they should be able to control what happens to them in there. So when you violate that feeling, They get really, really hostile about it because it's their space. You invaded their space, and they're in control. So that was the link I made.
It's still a trigger for me too. It's like, the light turned green just the other day, and I was like, "Come on already," because I knew it was going to turn if we did. It turns. It's one of those lights that turn real fast, and they're just sitting there, and I'm like, "Come on!" And my wife looks over at me, and she goes, "Don't you have a little love and light for him?" I just had to laugh. I'm like, "Yes, I do. Go with the love and the light already," But yeah, it's still, that's my 3D trigger is driving. I just probably would rather just stay off the road, but it's a good practice. So
yeah, I used to wish if I was like Donald Trump, that I would hire a chauffeur so I would never have to drive again. I would just sit in the back and read a book or listen to music and close my eyes. Let's just just tell me when we get there. So.
We need flying cars, I think. Like on Back to the Future, one of those flying DeLoreans is what I need. But yeah, I guess until then
that would be awesome. Then I might want to drive again.
Yeah, that'd be cool, especially if you can time travel, right?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I don't believe that we can though. Mentally, I think we can. I think your consciousness can go any time it wants, but I don't think that there's physical time travel for people.
I don't think so
we
either.
have the technology to do it, or the power available. I think that it takes a lot of energy, actual electricity type of energy. I don't think that we could do it.
Right. I think right now we have like micro time travel, so our speed can affect time, our relationship with time. So, like if we both set our watches and then I go close to the speed of light, then I might not age as much as you did, but I didn't go back in time or anything like that, because I think all there is really is now, so.
Yeah. Well, see, even that, I don't know if it's the speed or if it's the proximity to gravity. I personally think that the more gravity you have, the faster time goes. I mean, look at the sun. The sun is like exploding all the time. Is it because it's got a lot of stuff? It's made out of gas. So, or is it that it's got like a super, maybe there's a black hole that was sucking in stuff, or a singularity or something. I don't know what's inside the sun. But I think that it is the gravity, because the probes that we have sent out into space farther away from the sun, they have all lasted far longer than they ever thought that they would. And the things that go in closer to the sun, they get burned up faster. And, things that go out into space, actually it's backwards. I think I'm backwards. Maybe it's stuff that goes up into space goes faster when you get out.
Well, I think the way I think one of the ways they discovered it happening was when they started putting the satellites in orbit, and because they were further out, they were traveling faster, and it was causing time to run a little bit slower on their clocks, and they had to adjust the clocks on
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's when they first discovered. It's just we can't move very fast, so whether we're speeding down the highway in a car or in a jet or something like that, it's just so minute.
We're all relatively the same in the relation to moving the whole Earth through the whole universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a mind trip when you think about it, but if we could travel close to the speed of light, then our time would run slower in relationship to everyone who's outside of what we're traveling in. I think is how it works.
Yeah. I always used to want to be able to go into like cryosleep and wake up in 1,000 years and see what had changed on the Earth, but I don't want to anymore. I
that
just
seems kind of scary.
I'm ready to go. I want to go out and see what's beyond our universe. I want to make planets and not just visit them.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm right with you with that one. Moving to our creator roles.
I want to know how everything works. That's my thing. That would be my heaven, is getting all the answers to all the questions I have, because I have so many questions. Like, why this? How come that? Where did this come from? So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the older you get, the more questions you have. And the more you realize the things you thought you figured out, you might not have figured out yet, you know?
Absolutely that, yeah. Man, I'm relearning everything. So come on, is somebody else going to call? Because I still owe $10 to Shane if somebody calls. You guys going to call? Who's brave?
Let me put the numbers up for those people who... Yeah, no one's... I left the ringer open just to see if anybody would call, and no one's called. Everybody's chickens today. Like, I don't know what the perfect world would be if I didn't have to call into your show, I guess.
I think they just love chatting and just the whole vibe. You just have created such this beautiful space for everybody. It's awesome. You, Eileen, we were over on Jose's channel right before your show. That was so much fun. I love going to her channel. So,
oh,
yeah.
I'm supposed to go on there Sunday. I think we're going to do a show on her channel now that she's figured out how to have people on with her, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Love it. And I wanted to say to you that it's a channel that I watched before I found yours, and it's two ladies. They're in Houston, and right now they're taking a break, but they do a show called The Joyride, and they just talk about all kinds of different stuff. They have different guests on, and it's a lot of fun. They're just really, loving people. So you've got to have them on. You got to contact them and get one or both of them to do a guest shot on your show. That would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, two people decided to call in at the same time, it looks like.
Hey, cool. All right. You have a great night again.
All righty, thank you, Ronnie. Bye-bye. Lots of love and light to Ronnie in Florida. It sounded like two people were calling at the same time, so you can call right back if you like. And, oh yeah, and I missed that, Ronnie. I guess you can see it in the chat. Yeah, it says, I love you, Ronnie, from 1. And what else did she say? You're relaxing to listen to, Ronnie. So in case you don't scroll up to see that, one had some very nice things to say to you too. There it is, yay. Thank you, Ronnie. Sending some hearts right back at you. How come it sounds like two people are calling? I love you, Ronnie, from 1. This is Shane. Welcome to the broadcast. Who am I talking to? Are you there?
Two of us were trying to call you at the same time, maybe. I don't know. But I'm up to the challenge. My idea of a perfect world.
This sounds like Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
You have caller ID, right?
It didn't come up. Well, the number came up, but that's all. Just the number this time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Hey,
it's okay.
Shane, this is Michelle. How are you this evening?
And where are you calling from, Michelle?
I am calling from California, Shane. This is my first time ever calling you.
Well, how do I know your name only is? How do I know your name's only spelled with 1 L then?
Because you have this amazing intuition and you draw us all to you like a magnet because you know us all that well, just like family.
That's what it is.
It is. It's that love. It's that green glow that you have radiating your heart all around you.
That's sweet of you to say.
No, it's true. And then you've got the blues and the purples and pinks, and that means that your throat's good. You're clear in speaking. But yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. My idea of a perfect world would be where everybody can see everybody is equals, and the unlimited potential that everybody has within themselves, and where we would respect each other and treat others as we'd want to be treated, and we would change this world overnight as we awaken to the unconditional love that we have for this planet we live on, our animals that we've been gifted with, our plants, any type of life form, and treat each other with the gratitude and how we are, we help each other, but we need to be in balance as a, we all like to be in service to others because it feels good, to your heart. But then we also have to be in balance as a grateful receiver, which is kind of where I'm working on now. We're always a work in progress. So that would be my idea of a perfect world where there's no lack for anybody, plenty for all, no hierarchy, and where we could all live hand in hand in this together.
Oh, wow. I'm just reading the comment. Sherry says, Darby described my aura the same way, the exact same way as you did. That's wild.
For some reason, I'm not hearing you very well.
Oh, you're not?
I'm not. Your call's not coming through very well. I'm sure your listeners can hear you good though, but I can't hear you very well.
Yeah, then they're hearing you really good, better than
okay.
Ronnie at the beginning of the call. Just so you guys know, I didn't have Ronnie turned up, but all you missed was her saying that would I be bored riding in spacecraft? So I was responding to that.
So what's your perfect world, Shane?
Yeah, I don't know. Just definitely what everyone's explaining. That would definitely be in line, Equality, love, and...
Yeah, doesn't it kind of seem like as we're going through this process that we're all going through, that our hearts want the same things in our heart. We want the same things, so we'll want it for everybody.
Yeah.
I see this, as we're going through this, we're going through it together, and it's like a refinement period, and, as we're going through it, our hearts get set on equality and treating each other fairly, equally, abundance for everyone, no lack for anyone. It's kind of something that a commonality that we all find within each and every one of us. At least that's what I'm seeing by the people that I talk with, and growing with getting to know the people, is that we want nothing but the best for everybody.
Right. And to me, that would be a great start. Just equality and love for all. You know what I mean? It's like no suffering, nobody starving on the planet. I mean,
right.
That would be huge for me. That would make
eliminate sickness and suffering.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's not like you have to have money to get treated for stuff, and we have more natural remedies for things instead of pharmaceuticals. And yeah, I've got a long list, believe me, of things that's wrong, but I don't know.
I'm sure of it. And where we don't have a hierarchy or, need followers, that everybody steps into their passion and their leadership roles, where each of us are unique and we have a passion for what we're doing and we love what we're doing, and it's in the benefit of everybody.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Welcome,
well, I will let
Michelle.
you go so you can get another caller, but I figured I'd step up and also give you a hard time for not using that new software. You're going to absolutely love it. So there's my plug for you to upgrade the software that you use for your call-in. You'll love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Definitely plan on it.
All right. Well, you have a blessed night, and I always enjoy talking to you, Shane. You're wonderful.
Same here. Lots
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Don't be afraid to use the band hammer if people get a little bit rude. Let's see here. Opening up the phone lines. Thank you again, Michelle's Opinions. Fellow YouTuber. This is Shane. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Shane. This is Shiny. Roberts.
Shiny Roberts from
Yep,
Tulsa?
I'm calling from Boston, but I'm from Tulsa originally.
Oh, okay. I saw the 918.
Yep. I actually watched started watching your videos a few months ago, and immediately I was like, I know I've met this guy before. He looks so familiar. And then I saw that you're in Tulsa, and I totally remembered you coming into my work.
Oh, where do you work at?
I used to work at the Dust Bowl, the bowling alley.
Oh, I don't know.
Was
it a
you
long
don't
time
recognize?
ago?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I haven't been to a bowling alley in years, but I definitely could have.
Well, anywho, I said earlier about my DMT trip that I had.
And that was like the perfect world. Whoops, did I lose you? Are you still there? Call is still going. I can't hear you if you're there. I heard a click. There we go. You're back. Are you there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you cut out for a while, but you're back now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just kind of had this vision, or I saw everybody in meditation or making art or just doing whatever they love. I kind of have always been like drawn to do whatever I love. I went to school for horticulture instead of, even though everybody told me that was a stupid degree, I thought, I love plants and I really want to get into growing food and just doing what I love. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I do. I love plants and all of that. I haven't done it in years, but I did have a indoor grow room for a while.
Oh, wow. Indoor grow.
Yeah, hydroponics. I'll just leave it at that.
See, well, my dad, when I went to school for horticulture, he always told me that I was just going to school to grow pot. And so now that it's became legal, I just have no interest in doing it because I got so much crap for it for so long. And now I can make money doing it, and I just never felt drawn to that.
Yeah, I think they should have shamans around. At least, I can see them doing it for spiritual purposes. They should be able to fall under the guise of religion, some of the religious freedoms people have. That if somebody wanted to go and visit a medicine man or a shaman and have their journey, as they say, they should be allowed to do that. And I think they can in some states, but for the most part, they don't want us awake.
Yeah, I definitely, the experiences I've had from DMT, every time I've smoked it, I've came back thinking, I just want everybody to try this. I want everybody to see this or get this perspective that I get from it. Mm-hmm. And one time, the first time I ever blasted off on it, I turned into this sunflower, and another flower grew up next to me, and it was like petals of fire, and it had a face that was made out of fire, and it started to tell me all these things about myself that I never knew or never would have thought. Would show me a memory from my childhood that I didn't even remember, and be like, it would say, you're carrying tension right here, and point to my elbow, and you don't even realize you're carrying this tension with you from this negative memory. You just need to let it go.
Wow.
And every time it would say, let it go, I would exhale, and all this cold air, I would feel rush out of me, and it really changed my life. I just lost a lot of negative patterns.
Are you having a hard time hearing me?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you having trouble with me?
No. Michelle was saying that I need to turn my volume up. I think you had a fan or something going, Michelle, and that causes your phone to cut out the volume of the incoming voice. She was leaving in the chat that I needed to turn it up, but I don't think. I think everyone else was hearing me okay.
Cool.
Okay, sorry to cut you off though. So
that's okay.
So, how many times have you done the DMT journey?
I've probably done it a dozen times over the last like decade.
Oh, okay. And do you
And
encounter the same beings when you do?
no, every time it's completely unique and different. One time I was home alone and I got sick from it, and I like was throwing up, and the next thing I knew, there was somebody rubbing my back and holding my hair back, and then this person like carried me to my bed, and it turned out it was like this 8-foot like woman, but she didn't look like she was human. She like looked like she was like a hologram. She was like all silver, and she like reflected rainbows like oil does in water.
Right.
And she told me that she was Mother Earth, and then she said that like anytime you're alone and you feel that feeling that you're not alone, that was her, that you're never truly alone, and that she had been with my mother, my grandmother, with every like ancestor all the way back. That
And your mother passed away, and your grandmother?
No, my mother's still with us, but she just like was explaining to me that she like has always been and has always been with every person. Like it's not just me. That it's like she's like this spirit or this energy that everybody feels.
That's sort of a trip because, you know, you just made me realize when you're on the other side, it's probably not much different when somebody passes away, is it? Because they're with you when you're alive, they're with you when you're dead. It's just like, it's different for the person that dies, you know, because they're like, oh, hey, I didn't know you guys were here, you know?
Yeah. It's weird to see like, and have conversations with people when you're on that, but really the whole time you just have your eyes closed and look like you're asleep, and it only lasts for like 5 minutes, but you feel like it was like at least a half hour or maybe an hour.
You did the smokable kind then?
Yeah, every time I've done the smokable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard that the tea lasts a lot longer, but then you throw up and all sorts of.
Oh, yeah. See, I like it short and sweet. Every time I've done it, it's just you come back feeling like totally renewed and just like so much weight taken off your shoulders. And yeah, I just think everybody needs to give it a try. One time I let a guy smoke it. He was like a coworker, and he was kind of a redneck dude, Trump-loving guy. And whenever he came to, the first thing he said was, "Man, I gotta quit being such a racist." And I thought that was kind of cool.
That's great. So, what would you say? Okay, so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, I've heard that there's certain levels you can get to, like, you know, if you do one puff, you know, it doesn't quite take you there, but
you
3
have
or
to
something.
take 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Every time that I've shared it with people, I'm like, you have to take 3 or you're wasting it and I'm going to be mad at you. Like, because anybody that just does the 2, they always want to stop there, and then you tell them, no, keep going, and that's
you have
when
to
you
do
have
that to actually leave. You have to have that
yes,
third
to
one.
actually leave it and like actually see other spirits or get some sort of message. I've had lots of weird experiences. One time, like one of the first times I got over, and there was this like Sphinx, and she like was kind of like the other lady. She like reflected rainbows, and she was just laughing in my face because I was like coming to her for answers and questions, and she was like laughing in my face. And the message I got was, I don't need anybody. The answers are within. You need to just look within, basically. But it was kind of not that fun of an experience because she was just laughing at me the whole time. But
that's trippy. So I often hear about people that experience this, seeing everything start looking like digitized or like it's digital, like pixels, like it's...
I've had experiences like that. The first time I ever smoked it, I saw like a grid system, kind of like a matrix, like different layers of grids, and I kind of saw like geometric shapes, and And, like, I saw this, like, it was really random. I saw, like, grass growing out of one of the levels, and there was all these people that were just standing in the field, basically, and they were all in costumes and having a party. And then on the other levels, I saw, like math and, like, geometry. I don't know. It was weird.
Wow.
That was, like, my very first time, and it was kind of odd. But it was just, like, I didn't really get any message from that experience, but I don't know if I had hit it just once or twice that time.
Yeah, I've had those experiences, like in that half asleep state, like either about to fall asleep or waking up, where you see like hieroglyphs and geometric patterns and colorful stuff like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
But I didn't used to get that. This is all like within the last year that I don't know if I just started paying more attention, because I noticed if you don't pay attention, you don't see it. It's like you have to, if you're sort of thinking about your day or what you have to do the next day, you don't notice any of that stuff that's flashing.
You have to relax totally and just let it go with it. I actually had a QHHT session last month, and that's kind of how it is. It's like you can't fight it, or you can't like try to control it in any way. You have to just like roll with it and just like keep saying whatever the first thing that comes to your mind or what you see.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel like a lot of visions or DMT is, like you have to just roll with it.
Right. Now, have you ever experienced salvia while we're on the topic of journeys?
I did, but it was like very like a small dosage. Like I was like at a creek in Oklahoma, and I saw like everything turn like into like a screen. Like I was sitting in a chair in a movie theater, and like everything I was seeing around me turned into like a movie, like on the screen. And then I just came right back to you. It really didn't last long at all.
Yeah, that seems like I don't know which one's more scary, but when you watch videos, it sure seems like the salvia has some really
It's
scary,
a little more scary. Yeah, it has some like things that can come across a little dark or twisted.
Either one though, neither one is really. It's really for more spiritual use, not really
that's how I've always gone into it, and every time I just like have a very spiritual and very loving experience and come out feeling like $1 million. And I can't imagine my life never have tried it.
Yeah, so it was really it definitely changed your perspective on the spiritual or the unseen world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's awesome. So, is it something that you feel like, everybody should do once? Or
yeah, I think that it's all about your personal attitude, like how you feel about it. Like you can't force yourself to do it. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, you have to be in a comfortable space and have good intentions.
I know I came across a video of a guy that I think he might have been talking about the Mandela effect, but he was explaining what he saw in a DMT trip, and it was exactly how I saw consciousness. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy saw what I saw just intuitively on a DMT trip. So I'm wondering if, I've been thinking this a lot lately, is that maybe we're moving into an era where we're going to be able to tap into this stuff without any help. You know what I mean?
Yes, that was kind of what I got from my last trip. I felt like this is like, I saw this perfect world, and the message I got from it was, you can be this world. Like, nothing's stopping you from experiencing this level of happiness. It's really yourself and your own ability to separate, and find the peace in your life.
Right.
And I was going through a really rough time this last year, and just recently kind of found your videos, had my QHHT, and I've just really gotten to a place where I've just been the happiest I've ever been. And I feel like that helped a lot. It like showed me that I'm in control of my happiness.
Yeah. And I think for those who don't know what DMT is, there's an excellent movie on Netflix called DMT, The Spirit Molecule. that you can watch, and it gets into the science of it. But basically, it's the same chemical that's already in your brain that gets released during sleep time that sends you off into your dreams. So basically, it's like you're able to go into dream world while you're awake. So
Yeah, and like when you
cool.
pass away, I think whenever you die, you supposedly get a really big DMT like trip whenever
Oh yeah.
like that your pineal gland releases.
Yeah, and it's a natural thing. It occurs in nearly every living being, even plants all have it in it. So it's really wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to extract it pretty much from plants to get it.
Right. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I love watching your videos, and it's been really cool. The synchronicity is so weird that you're from Tulsa and I'm from Tulsa.
So you live in Boston now? You like moved there?
Yeah, I moved here. I've been here for 2 years now, and I like it a lot here. It's been a nice break, but I do miss Tulsa. It's a really cool town.
Have you noticed how? Okay, because I realized that the other way around. I lived in St. Louis, and you go to say a drive-through window, and people are just tell you what you owe them, hand you your change, don't say have a good day or anything. But when I got here, it seemed like people were a lot nicer. It's like
yes, it was a little bit rough
day.
coming to Boston.
Yeah, so,
yeah. When I
you
got to Boston, people did not know what to think of me. I was so smiley and nice, and people in Boston did not really react to that well.
They're all
it
like
was
Richie.
funny, but it took me like a year or so till I found like my people in Boston. At first, it was a little bit of a rough transition, but it is cool to see like there's a lot of positive thinking and forward thinking in Boston. You see, all the churches here have the rainbow flags hanging, and it's just there's a lot of forward things, and I love the part of town in Boston I live, Jamaica Plain. It's very very cool, good people.
Nice.
All my neighbors are very social. There's lots of community gardens everywhere.
Yeah. And New York is just that much worse, or it seems that much worse. People don't really mean anything about it, by it, but they'll come across really rude, and they really don't mean it that way at all. And it's sort of funny that they just come across being rough around the edges. But then you come here, and people aren't really that much different, but the way they put on those fronts, they're just way more friendly seeming. And if you come across somebody here that seems mad, they probably really are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wild.
So yeah, Boston's a great city. It's actually got a lot of nature to it compared to like New York City. You have lots of parks, lots of trees. Sometimes I'll be downtown and I'll see a fox running across the park and see like wildlife in the city. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
Yes. I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay here. I see myself moving back to Tulsa eventually.
Is your family here, or?
Yeah, my whole family. I'm actually, my name's actually Cheyenne, and I'm named after the street downtown Tulsa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my grandma owned a bar in the late 70s, early 80s, and I'm named after the street her bar was on.
Yeah,
so
I lived in
I have
University.
lots of family there.
I lived in University City, and my middle name is Cornell. My dad named me after a street there that was named after Cornell University. So my middle name.
Looky there.
Came from the street too.
We're from the street. Nice.
Yeah, totally. Well, if you're back in the area when we have our get together here, I'm still working on putting that together. I don't know when it's going to happen, but when it does, if you
Oh yes, I would love to.
Cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, keep me posted. All right. Hopefully you'll get another call.
Lots of love and light to you, Shiny. Thanks for calling in.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, YouTube, that's Shiny Roberts from Boston. She's up there with Richie from Boston. Huh, that's interesting. Put the numbers up here. All right, awesome. All right, I did. Oh, did I put the numbers up there and didn't open the phone lines? It's so many things. Gosh. I think it will be easier to use that other program, Michelle. Michelle's Opinions, the program I spoke about earlier. I don't think I want to use the base version of it, but the first tier, when I reach a certain level of income, I probably will get that, because then I can have a few people on hold and build up to it, and I think it'll be cool. Oh, you think my Richie from Boston's funny? You should hear my son do it. He's hilarious. Subscribe or don't. He's such a character. I don't really listen to him that much anymore. I do every now and then, but I do enjoy listening to him from time to time. All right. Are we going to wrap this up and call it a night? Or is somebody going to call in? I've been working on the website all day long. So I'm excited about getting that up and running, but it's been years since I developed websites, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so much. So many new things that I have to relearn, and I mean, I can save myself thousands of dollars by doing it myself. But at the same time, things have changed since I last did much website development. So it's really difficult. But it's cool, because a lot of what I'm doing, I can listen to other videos while I work, and I love stuff I can do, like doing art, or like, that's one of the bad things about doing video editing. I can't like watch a video while I'm editing a video. So it's sort of, you know, if I'm working in a car or something, I can do that. Let's see what we got here. This is Shane. Welcome to the program. Who am I talking to? Deanne, did you say? Or D? Oh, D. Welcome,
yeah,
D. Where are you calling from?
Working on your website, huh?
Yeah.
I've been doing the same thing, updating it.
Awesome. What part of the world are you calling in from?
Missouri.
Missouri?
I was talking to everybody in chat, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Down by Springfield.
Oh, okay.
In the
Yeah.
Ozarks.
Yeah, I've driven through there on 44 many times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, matter of fact, I usually get off at exit 80A. What is that, Glen something? Glen, I can't think of the name of it now. But yeah, I'd always get off there because it's about the halfway point between St. Louis and Tulsa, and I just fill up my tank there. I haven't driven through there in a while, but I think it's exit 80A. I always remember that.
Uh-huh.
I think my wife has a cousin that's a pastor at a church there. I can't tell you his name, though. But
So how long have you been on YouTube now?
about a year, and, well, since February of 2017.
Well, I got lucky, and I didn't find you except for Miss Tony T. Taylor.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that was an excellent show with her the other day. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was so good to see her do an actual interview. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
So I was curious what started your experiences.
Well, I was raised Christian, so I was really heavily into Christianity, and then I sort of fell away from that because it felt like a lot of it was just control mechanisms and stuff. But then I had my dark night of the soul around the beginning of 2017, where everything just seemed meaningless, and I decided to start the YouTube channel in February, and then about a month after I started it, I realized the Mandela effect was really happening, and that's when it was like I woke up in a sci-fi movie. So, and here we are today.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mandela effect is a serious trip, isn't it?
It is. So you've been affected by it too?
Huh?
You have been affected by the Mandela effect?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I'd seen it for like a year, but I didn't really see it. You know what I mean? I was one of those people that was like, I don't trust my memory. But, man, when I saw The Thinker and The Lion Shall Lie Down with the Lamb had changed, and I knew for 100% that those were the other way, I was like, wait a minute, what the heck is going on? And I got looking on the internet, and I couldn't find the original statue that I grew up having on my desk my whole life. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So, yeah, it's hard to stay asleep when something like that happens.
The quote that Sally Field did during the Oscars when she won.
Right. That did it for you?
Yeah, watched that Oscar night. And I know what she said.
Right. And there were
it's
so
not
many...
the same anymore. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I saw so many clips of people, mimicking her from that night. It's got like right now in there or something in the middle of it, right? You love me right now. You really love me or something that's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's why I have her picture on my intro. I have that picture of her during that. Because I found out, I started looking at all these changes, and I started tripping out at the connection of all of them. Like, you had her name, Sally Fields, being filled, or I don't even know which way it changed now. But it was the same as Sally Beauty Supply. I knew that was Sally's Beauty Supply. And it was so funny, me and my wife went into this healthcare store the other day, and it was right next to Sally Beauty Supply, and somebody came in, and they're like, oh, what? He's like, oh, are you looking for Sally's? Yeah, it's right next door. And I had to snicker to my wife. I'm like, you don't even realize the name's changed. It's no longer Sally's Beauty Supply. But yeah,
the thing is, I think with people is they're so busy on their hamster wheels that they don't get a chance to look around them and really observe what's going on around them,
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, because, they've designed it well as far as keeping people busy, including, because now wives have to be out there working, too, for the most part. And, they're so busy with just trying to make ends meet that they don't have time to pay attention,
Yeah, and I was going to work and school at the same time. I mean, I didn't really have time to investigate it much.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just kind of heard about it and then let it go. And so, yeah, it was a real trip.
Yeah. Yeah, and the actual Mandela himself, that too. I mean...
Oh, was that a big one for you?
Oh, yeah, that was a huge one, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, that one didn't affect me, and it didn't even register until I heard Allison Coe talking about it and saying, like, yeah, he died and his wife took over his work. And I'm like, oh, well, that part sounds kind of familiar, so... But it's not a 100%er for me.
Well, your background's similar to mine because I got raised in a Baptist church as a kid, and then went away from all of that because, first you see the adults all fighting, and you can. Well, I'm an empath, so I felt all the tension going on.
Yeah.
And the fakery happening, and I was like, okay, when I got older and old enough to say I'm not going anymore, I quit going. But I did the same thing you did, pretty much, and walked away. And that, it's just, there was a lot of things, well, instinctively as a child, I knew that that book got tampered with.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, but the teachings, you think about it, they keep teaching monotheism, one God, which is true. But if you actually read the Bible, there's several in there. There's not just one.
Red flag. Nobody sees it.
As a little kid, I knew that. I was like, what are these people talking about, one God? There's a whole bunch of them in here.
Right. Yeah. And if you dig just a little bit, you can see that. But I even asked about that, and they was like, oh, well, it was God and Jesus talking to each other. Let's go down. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I bought it. You know, I didn't until I looked into it for myself. I'm like, wait a minute. You know, and it doesn't take much research at all to find out. I mean, even officially, like when you look at the Council of Nicaea and them putting the Bible that we have today together, you can see just what history shows, how they left certain books out and put certain books in. So even without discussing the fact that things have been changed in there, just the fact that they chose what to put together and deliver, and they tried to keep it from us forever. They didn't want people to read it, so they didn't even translate it into a language people could read for the longest time. So, well, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, there's actually an interview where a guy that worked for the Vatican that did translations.
Oh, and Sarah Westall? I saw that.
Translations were jacked with, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff we discussed was all in there, he says, about like our DNA being manipulated and like did you see the Sarah Westall interview earlier in the year with that guy? Is that how you saw it too?
Yeah.
You're
I
right.
saw that.
Yeah, it was like a two-part thing. It was excellent. It was hard to follow because he was using a translator, but
yeah,
it was definitely interesting.
My original YouTube channel, it dates back to like 2006 or 7, something like that. And then my other one that I'm using now, I think I started it in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And it was originally, what I started it for was to expose corruption. And see, I've had gifts all my life, like the empath and telepathic, among some other abilities. And, you know, it's just one of those things, when you have those abilities, there's a lot of things you notice. And I'm a people watcher.
Right.
And so I could tell when they were, it's kind of a built-in radar. You can tell when somebody's not telling you the truth. And I saw that happening in politics. And, you know, as a kid growing up, my dad was heavily into politics. And so, you know, we went to inaugural balls in the state capitol and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And so I knew there was a lot of corruption going on. It was blatantly obvious. But then, because of my abilities and the fact that I'd already, you know, always had an interest in paranormal because I saw a lot of stuff and heard things, you know, and because they tend to be, you know, spirits and entities tend to be drawn to people like us.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're kind of like a magnet, they're like, oh, wow, that one can hear us, you know,
right.
and hearing you, you know. So, plus, you know, if you have any abilities at all, and they know it, they want to feed off your energy too. So that's
exactly.
always, yeah. But yeah, my channel has gone from doing that over to my experiences with the paranormal, including experiences with ETs, experiences with, well, I've been followed around my entire life by a particular being, and I always knew, you know, that something was there,
mm-hmm.
but now I know what it is, and now I've actually got 2 of them.
Negative or positive?
Yeah. The second one showed up 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. So, yeah, my life's been pretty interesting. So I've been putting that stuff up. And,
what's the name of your channel?
You know, sharing my experiences with my guy friends that are not of the planet, basically.
Oh, wow.
They are and aren't. Well, it's hard to explain. The first one was around my entire life, but that one, I didn't get a name for him until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And then the second one, 2 years ago. And the first one told me the name of the second one.
Oh.
And They actually started training, because my telepathy, I kind of shut it down since I was a little kid.
Right.
And, yeah. They basically retrained my telepathy, or helped me hone it. So now I get telepathic stuff from them constantly. On
Interesting.
a, daily basis, pretty much.
So are both of these entities positive?
Huh?
Are they positive or negative?
They're definitely positive.
Oh, okay.
And I was shocked at their names myself, and I'll tell you what their names are. The first one that's been around my entire life, that's Gabriel.
Oh, wow, nice.
Second one, Gabriel told me about the second one, and his name happens to be Adonai.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't even know, because I looked, because we're all kind of searching for, all of us that tend to be in the shoes that we're all in with the Mandela effect. We're all searching for, and we knew that our religion felt off and weird, something was wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of us spent time looking at other religions thinking, oh, maybe this one will be right for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I, had looked at, multiple Christian, faiths, like, Presbyterian, Assemblies of God, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, I looked at all of them. And the minute I saw something that didn't sound right, I'd chuck it to the side and go to the next one. And so I researched a lot of religions and stuff, and basically delved into theology and then into ancient texts. But I had not run across the name Adonai ever. And it was interesting because Gabriel told me that his name was Adonai, because Gabriel tends to be a bit of a prankster, jokes around a lot, not in a negative, nasty way. He's funny.
Oh,
Yeah, he's just funny. He's a funny character. But he told me his name was Adonai, and so I ran around for like a month calling him the wrong name, and then I got corrected by him, and so that was interesting. But yeah, it's been a very interesting life, to say the least. But so what I'm doing on my channel now is I've done a ton of research on genetics, and I went down the whole rabbit hole with Rh negatives and Rh positives and trying to find out what the connection was there, because a lot of us that have these abilities are Rh negatives. Mm-hmm. But there's a few of us that happen to be positives. And it's not super common, but it's generally O positives that have the abilities, generally. I'm not saying in all cases, but
right.
Most likely if somebody has abilities, it's Rh negative or an O positive. And usually that O positive has a particular background, and it all boils down to genetics. And the gene that we all share and all have in common is called the MTHFR genetics. And so it's not so much about Rh factor, it's about your genetics.
Oh.
So that's kind of interesting. So I've done a lot of research on that too. And all of these people that have that genetic code and have these abilities also have autoimmune disorders or severe allergies, which are connected to that very genetic code. But I won't get into why that, the reasons for that. I do that on my channel already, but yeah, it's detailed. But basically, let's just say that that genetic code is being assaulted in every way known to man, literally. But
so what's your channel? Do a shout out for your channel. What's your YouTube channel?
Critical Break.
Critical Break.
Yes.
Awesome.
I actually left you a message a couple of times just saying hi and stuff under a couple of the videos.
Oh, in the comments?
Huh?
You left it in the comments?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I might have missed it.
Tony and T. Taylor's channel.
Okay, yeah, I do need to go back to that one. I did watch him for a couple of days, but I might have missed it. Yeah, definitely. Anybody want to...
I said I wanted to hear your story, and so you had to call in, so I was like, I wanted to, get a chance to see what his background is, because I hadn't gotten a chance to see that yet.
Yeah, it's sort of unfolded over this. You'd have to watch, I think I'm at almost 350 videos now, so yeah, there would be a lot of watching videos to figure all of that out. So
yeah, to catch up, right?
Right. I should do like a catch up video and say, for all the new people, because somebody left me another Illuminati.
Yeah, I thought that too for mine. It's like, man, they have to watch hours worth of stuff to catch up, but at the same time, there's hours of stuff that's happened. So
right.
Yeah. It's hard to condense it all, right?
Yeah, I had no idea that doing this YouTube channel would be a lot like starting a seminar, and you've got people constantly coming in, and they've missed all of the beginning part, and you have to kind of go back a little bit and explain a few things that you've covered, because people leave me comments all the time about things that's been covered numerous times, but, I can't really keep repeating everything every time. I already repeat stuff all the time, and I'm sure it's getting old for some people, but what can you do, Critical break. I think this is it.
Huh?
I was trying to find your channel here.
I'll type in the chat, that way people can find it.
Yeah, when you get back in the chat, you can type it in there and people can find it to make sure. That's awesome. Well, before you go, what's your idea of the perfect world?
I call it Arcadia. Arcadia. It's basically, it's a name that I used, and I had no idea what it meant. I happened to name a Hereford heifer calf Arcadia. It just sounded like a cool name, and I hadn't heard it before. I thought I made it up. Well, I went to look it up, and it turns out it means utopia, which, a.k.a. Eden. This place was supposed to be Eden, and it's been infected basically by what I call a virus.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. That's my idea of the perfect world.
Wonderful.
Return it back to Eden, in other words.
Yeah, back to Eden.
Yeah.
So, I guess you question the official story about Eden and eating the fruit and all that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, because that was a certain, if you read the Emerald tablets and all the lost books and ancient texts that goes back, that's just one branch of a whole lot of other ETs that seeded this planet.
Yeah.
It's not my branch, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, that's part of what led to my Dark Night of the Soul. I felt like all the information I was looking for led me off planet to where I would never be able to get to the bottom of it. And it just felt like a dead end,
Well, I've been digging, I do research. That's all I do pretty much all day long. Research. And my particular background on my mom's side, because your mother's genetics has a lot to do with your line. Mm-hmm. My mother is a registered member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe, which is Lakota Sioux. And I actually have the application. I could get a number with the tribe, too, and be registered. I just never did it. I didn't know if there was any point in it or not. But it turns out that there is a story that the Lakotas and Nakotas and Dakotas all tell about how their people came out of the Pleiades.
Mm.
And that's how they got here. And I remember looking at that years ago about that story, about them coming out of the Pleiades. And then a good friend of mine that watches my channel has been sending me links because she's trying to help me connect dots. And I was like, oh, I'm glad you sent me that, because I saw it years ago and had totally forgotten about it. And it's kind of chinking some pieces into the puzzle, basically. But, yeah, there's some interesting stuff to do with the Native Americans. But, yeah, I think everybody on this planet is a result of all kinds of dinking with DNA that was done. And all you have to do is read the Sumerian tablets, and that tells you all you need to know about that.
Right.
You know, about genetics being manipulated for a very long time. So, you know, they're definitely hiding tech. Let's put it this way. The stealth bomber was out for 20 years before it was announced publicly. So, you know, the tech is much higher than what they let on. Much.
Yeah, definitely. What ancient text? Someone's asking what ancient text would I recommend starting with? I don't really know. I just sort of came across what I needed to come across at the time I needed to come across it. What about you?
My path is too, because Gabriel has been. At first, I was researching on my own, and then now Gabriel basically is guiding me on my research, which is interesting. Because he'll basically pop things up in front of me and go, look at that, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll go look at it, you know? And so he's kind of helped guide my research, and it's actually sped things up quite a bit. But I would say the Sumerian tablets, so the Emerald tablets, the Book of Thoth, Enoch, Book of Jasher, what else? There's a bunch of them. But, yeah, and they all basically tell the same story, just, you know, that's what's interesting, and is all these gods. It sounds like there's hundreds and hundreds of different gods and things like that, and there's not. It's just, there's been so many civilizations on this planet, and they all tell the same story. So the same entity will have, you know, 20 different names for the exact same entity.
Right.
And actually, they'll have more names than that on many occasions. But, you know, yeah, people don't realize when they're reading the Bible, they're actually reading the Sumerian tablets is what they're reading. They line up perfectly.
Oh, right, yeah.
Stories do, so.
Let's see.
So there's always, yeah.
I wanted to bring up a couple of times that Adonai came up. Adonai. One of them was Adonai, right? Yeah. One of them was Amy Grant when she was still a gospel artist. She had that song El Shaddai. That was the first time I heard the song Adonai in it.
Yeah, I never heard that song. I didn't ever follow her music, so I don't know.
Right. Well, we were raised in a Christian home, so that's all we were allowed to listen to. Well, until she, you know, went mainstream, and then, you know, the devil got a hold of her, of course, but that's what we were told anyway. And then the other time was within the Law of One, during the greeting, they would say Adonai. They would say, you know, we greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, Adonai.
Adonai, yeah. Adonai means Lord. You know?
Interesting.
And, yeah. And so it's interesting that I happen to have one named Gabriel and one named Adonai. Is that not interesting or what?
Oh, yeah.
But, and when I, you know, before when it was just Gabriel, I was like, you know, there's thousands of Gabriels. It could be anybody, you know.
Right.
So I didn't even think for 2 seconds it could possibly be the Gabriel. And then suddenly, 2 years ago, you know, Adonai shows up. And, yeah, well, all that stuff's on my channel if anybody wants to take a look at it. I've actually been to a place that I call home on multiple occasions.
Nice.
Yeah, I've always felt like I didn't belong here on this planet. No joke. It's like Well, I'm allergic to everything on the planet. I have something called mast cell activation disorder, and I'm literally allergic to every plant, tree, grass. I'm allergic to the sun, humidity, fumes. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. I have to wear, I'm allergic to synthetic fibers and all kinds of crazy stuff. Just,
oh, man.
So you definitely don't feel like you belong on this planet when that's going on.
I feel you there.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, Eileen pasted your link in there, but you can paste it in again when you get back into the chat or type in the name of it or whatever. But it looks like, yeah, I pasted it in there too. I'm pretty sure we found it. Let me paste it one more time for those who might have missed it. It's basically youtube.com/user/critical, and it's getting cut off, so I can't see it. But it's in there.
Yeah, I see it. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it, and it's wonderful meeting you.
Yes, it's nice talking to you.
Anyway, have a lovely night.
Thanks, you too.
And to you too, okay?
All right, lots of love and light to you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Well, we hit the 2-hour mark perfectly. You love that song. Are you talking about El Shaddai? Or did I miss something there? It's hard to keep up with the chat and the phone calls, so apologies. Once again, I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Ronnie from Florida, for sending all of the, you sent money for each caller. That's awesome. That's sweet of you. I appreciate that. And there is the link if you do want to check out Dee's channel. I'm still not 100% I heard her right. I did look to see if I got it right, hopefully. Let's see. Oh, there you are back in the chat. Your name is D, right? Because I might have messed it up. It sounded like D. Take it off the screen there. So lots of love and light to each and every one of you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. We will be together tomorrow night, me and Eileen, and all of you, for the Power of 8 at 8. I'm so looking forward to combining our power of intentions to change the world. Oh, wait, I missed something really hilarious. What is it? Craig McAuthor, what's up, man? Good to see you. I guess I'll have to figure it out later. Lots of love and light to all of you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.